We count.
I count.
We count.
I count.
We count.
Because my voice matters, and I want it heard at the highest levels of government.
Pásame la herramienta. Because 10 minutes of my time can impact our community for 10 years.
Because I want to secure a better future for my kids.
Because I want our taxes to stay low.
Because I want to be an engineer.
Because I'm sick of sitting in traffic.
Because I want more businesses and restaurants to come to the community.
Because all kids deserve a nutritious meal at school.
I want our teachers and students to have the tools they need to succeed.
Because Virginia Beach can't fall behind.
Because I need to keep warm this winter.
It's my duty as an American, and I count.
You can't afford to sit this one out. Our community can't either. We're all counting on you.
It was really the idea of former Mayor Paul Frame of Norfolk. And he said, Norfolk wants to make a big commitment to ending homelessness, but we need our regional partners to work with us. In fact, it is a regional issue because people go wherever they can find assistance. What we realized was that by each city agreeing to do its part, we shared the risk and shared the reward. And the risk was significantly reduced because we were all doing it.
By working together, our community is able to grow and extend beyond our city borders. And because your hard work, together we are making strides at ending homelessness.
And we all have resources that we can use to pool together and have cooperation, collaborate. Now that's going to save us some resources, money. It's also going to help us come together with a comprehensive plan to address ending homelessness.
The conference is actually one of the key components of the Regional Task Force to End Homelessness. And we realized that shared learning and building commitment to shared goals was really important, and the conference helps us do that. We're looking at models and strategies for really ending homelessness as opposed to managing it.
We've brought in actual national experts to these conferences, and we therefore get everyone in the region has the opportunity to be exposed to national best practices, to be connected to people with the expertise that can help them address a certain issue, and also networking within the region and establishing new working relationships and new agency cooperation.
Norfolk served as the host for this development, the Gosnell Apartments, the nation's first regional supported studio apartments for single adults experiencing homelessness years ago.
I am so thankful that so many people are coming together to get your hands around this very, very complex issue.
Thank you for calling Regional Housing Crisis Hotline. This is Jessica. How can I help you?
We have a regional housing crisis hotline. Another example of something that could not be done by any city by itself. For Kids is a regional nonprofit assisting people who are homeless, and they operate the hotline under contract with the different cities. We share the cost of this, whereas if each city tried to do it, it'd be massively more expensive.
The South Hampton Roads Task Force is proof that borders are not barriers. We are operating together.
We as a region really want to make sure we're in a proactive posture to be addressing homelessness so we don't experience some of the problems the larger cities in the country are experiencing with very large-scale homelessness. And so planning with your neighbors makes economic sense, and it makes policy sense, and it makes sense in terms of results.
Sometimes in our lives
We gather here on one of the longest nights of the year to commemorate the lives of the men and women who have died homeless.
It is nationally set aside for folks working in homeless services to come together and to kind of say those names and remember those folks that we have worked with closely to bring comfort and closure to the journey that they have been on.
And I'll be your friend.
We light candles to remind ourselves of them. There's usually a song sung, and it really is a time to, remember people.
One of the speakers here this evening said that there is no they, that it's we. And I found that statement to be very profound and true. And it's up to us to work together to address the issues that lead to homelessness.
Sometimes people pass away, and in that moment, you have all these thoughts, but time goes by and you forget. And so it's a great time to come and remember good friends.
So we call them our friends because we truly are their friend. We are often their only friend. And when they're out on the street, they often don't have relationships with their families. And so we become very close to them.
Vince Heiko, Ronnie Paul Jakeman.
I, Robert M. Dyer, Mayor of Virginia Beach, do hereby proclaim December 20th, 2019, Virginia Beach Homeless Persons Memorial Day.
It's important for us to remember that we have people that are in our city who are homeless and need our help, and so I think it's always a great time to have a reminder of those types of things. These are not just homeless people, they're mothers, their fathers, their brothers, their sisters, and they have families too. My hope would be is people's heart would be pulled towards somebody else that may be sitting in the Housing Resource Center.
Somebody to lean on.
Oh, I almost forgot about our meeting. Let's go, guys! Go, 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 go! Everybody out! Let's go, let's go, let's go, let's go!
Great, I didn't get lost this time.
Yeah. Oh, my legs and back. Oh.
Glad to see everyone made it. So how was traffic?
In light of the national controversy surrounding Confederate monuments and the current laws in Virginia, the City of Virginia Beach seeks a path of enlightenment.
Today we're at the Courthouse Green. It was constructed here in 1822. In October of 1900, there were two organizations that developed. One was the Confederate Camp Veterans, and the other was the United Daughters of the Confederacy chapter. These two organizations wanted to recognize the fallen soldiers with a statue. They formed a committee and started the process that resulted in the statue being placed here in 1905.
Pride or prejudice. It's not what you look at that matters, it's what you see.
The Princess Anne County Courthouse doesn't look anything like it did in 1905 when the Confederate statue was dedicated. For people, it's a stately building, it's a sense of pride for much of the community, but for others, this can be a place that brings up pain. Prior to the Civil War, this is where African Americans were sold as slaves. This is not so much the stately columns, but instead a place where their ancestors or people like their ancestors were sold as slaves.
The Historic Preservation Commission selects a roundtable of citizens for ideas on how to best serve the community. Coming together is a beginning. Keeping together is progress. And working together is success.
It's really, it started in that August 2017 with that horrible tragedy in Charlottesville. The City Council asked the Historic Preservation Commission to look into the statue issue. That's when Bill Gambrell, the chair of the commission, appointed you and I as the co-chairs. We had 11 members. We had 3 professors from local universities, 2 history professors, one from Old Dominion, one from Virginia Wesleyan, and then an English professor from ODU. The thing that was the most interesting about the makeup of the round table was, we had Ken whose family was from Princess Anne County and served in the Confederacy, and we had you with your family who's from this area that is direct descendant. Your grandmother was a slave. But why don't you talk about what the recommendations are moving forward and our next step?
The immediate would include a plaque talking about enslaved coming down to be sold here at the courthouse. Right. Also, we would include a plaque that would talk about the historical courthouse and those panels that would talk about, reading panels that would talk about the statue as well. Number 2 would be the short term, which would talk about designing a park. The intermediate would be building a park and expanding on building it and bringing it into existence so that it would be something that the community can see. And the 4th and final is a long term, to put this information back into the hands of City Council so that we could continue to build this park and continue to make it a part of the city where the people will be involved and included in this as well.
Peace cannot be kept by force. It can only be achieved through understanding. For more information, including a complete list of recommendations, please contact Mark Reed at 757-385-8573 or visit vbgov.com/historic preservation.
Ray Pearson, Ben here with your very latest Virginia Beach Sportscenter Q&A. And our question is coming from Green Run High School math scholars Isabel and Matthew.
Thank you, Ms. Ray.
Here's the question.
If the sports center were to be filled with water, how many times can you refill all the exhibits from the Virginia Aquarium? A, 540 times, B, 6 times, C, 21,723 times, or D, 324 times.
You may want to check the Virginia Aquarium website for help. In this case, it could be A, B, C, or D. Tell us what the answer is, guys.
If you answered A, 540 times, then you are correct.
The Virginia Aquarium is approximately 107,000 cubic feet, while the Sports Center is around 57,836,250 cubic feet.
Thank you so much, Isabel and Matthew, for that equation. We're sending you and your classmates some VB Sportscenter love as you all celebrate Green Run High School's 40th anniversary.
Hello and welcome to VB 411. I'm your host, Ms. Information, the know-it-all in City Hall, here again to bring truth and clarity to misconceptions and rumors. Today, we're focusing on you, our residents, and what you had to say in response to the recently completed Citizen Satisfaction Survey. The findings were presented to City Council on January 21st, and we wanted to take a closer look at the results and how residents feel about living in Virginia Beach and the services we provide. Using an independent firm, the city has conducted a survey every 2 years since 1995. It asks residents about their satisfaction with city resources and services and tells us where we need to focus efforts going forward. Truthfully, I wasn't surprised that the overwhelming majority of people say they are glad to be living in Virginia Beach. 93% of respondents say they're either satisfied or very satisfied to live in our city. 90% are satisfied with the city services overall. This matches up nicely with some national polls and studies in which Virginia Beach consistently comes out at the top. In 2019, we were named the #1 best big city to live in and the most caring city in America. We also made the top 10 for best run large city, hardest working city, and safest city. 77% of our residents feel they receive a good value for their tax dollars. And satisfaction with individual city services is equally positive. The fire department received a 100% satisfaction rating. And let me tell you, our friends over at VBFD won't let us forget that one anytime soon. Additionally, parks and recreation, public libraries, EMS, museums, 911 and 311 call centers, volunteer resources, police, farmers market and agricultural services, city and neighborhood overall appearance, and disaster recovery efforts all scored 90% or higher in citizen satisfaction. By the way, if you haven't been to one of our parks, rec centers, or farmers market anytime recently, you should check them out sometime. In fact, a number of areas saw notable increases from the 2017 survey. Efforts to address effects of flooding and sea level rise, planning and construction of new roads and residential development, opportunities to share ideas and opinions ahead of city decisions, communications efforts, and job opportunities all saw increases between 6 and 11%. As for perceptions of our city, more than 90% agreed that Virginia Beach is a good place to live. In fact, people also feel our community and their neighborhoods are safe places to live. Both categories saw an 8 and 7% increase since 2017, respectively. Now, you might be thinking, 90% isn't 100, and you're right, it's not. Nobody will ever be 100% satisfied with everything at all times. But we will always strive to keep Virginia Beach a premier city to live, work, and play in. So, where can we do better? Now, it's worth noting that a few of those categories that I mentioned earlier saw some increases since the last survey. According to the results, less than 70% of residents are satisfied with traffic flow, efforts to address flooding and sea level rise, services for homeless families, mental health and intellectual disability services, planning of new roads and residential developments, and maintenance of existing roads and bridges. Clearly, we're making noticeable improvements and will continue to do so. You might be wondering, what does the city do with that information? Well, we use it to make adjustments to service delivery. You'll likely see some of this reflected in the upcoming budget hearings. So how does Virginia Beach stack up to other cities? Well, we looked online and read up on Denver, Colorado, Wilmington, North Carolina, and our neighboring cities of Hampton and Chesapeake to see how our 90% overall satisfaction rating compares. Chesapeake last did a survey in 2014 and had a 94.7% overall satisfaction rating from their residents. And Hampton received a 90% rating in 2018. As for some localities farther out, Denver had a 70% overall rating in 2018, and Wilmington came in with 58% in 2019. Now, if you'd like to compare and contrast all this data at home, we'll have links to the surveys we mentioned on our website, vbgov.com/VB411. Now that you know that we really do use the feedback we receive, when you see a survey come along looking for resident input or a notice about a public hearing or meeting, Jump in and join the conversation. You make the difference. And now, you're in the know. Thanks for joining me today. Do you have a question you'd like to see us answer on air? Well, you know what to do. Send an email to misinfo@vbgov.com and we'll get on it.
Gifted services are available in Virginia Beach City Public Schools at all levels through both school-based and citywide programs. Gifted students are provided instruction through a differentiated curriculum that is responsive to the academic and social and emotional needs of the student.
When working with students and I'm trying to attain a goal, I have to make sure that all their questions are answered. And that's where inquiry comes in. So if they're asking questions, I need to be able to direct them to getting the answers. Well, in the classroom, sometimes it looks like independent working. Sometimes it looks like maybe group work. Sometimes it might be teacher one-on-one or teacher with a small group. It just depends.
I do lesson planning and learning unit planning with teachers. Sometimes we do big picture planning. There's times when we collaborate or we'll spend time together really looking at how can we infuse the gifted pedagogy in what we are doing in their lessons. Getting them engaged is a huge part of the challenge, and that is my goal with every lesson, to have 100% engagement. And one of the things I have to keep in mind with that is that a lot of our gifted kids come with prior knowledge. They love World War II or they love science, and so knowing that they have unique needs and that they come to us with passions and interests always really factors into what we're doing and planning for lessons.
You know, what works for one student might not work for another student. So when we're trying to accomplish a goal, we want to make sure the student is in their learning environment that works for them.
Gifted elementary and middle school learners may choose to apply to the full-time gifted program at Old Donation School, to a pull-out program for dance or visual arts, or to remain in their neighborhood school and receive services via the Resource Cluster program.
Old Donation School meets the unique needs of gifted learners in several categories. One of those categories is the social and emotional needs. The other category is the academic needs of those students. But I'm also going to tell you that we also attend to the artistic desires of students and goals that students have. You see, we believe that one of the things that gifted learners need is to be producers, and not just reproducing information, but creative producers, taking knowledge, concepts, understanding, and skills, and applying those things in unique situations.
So personally, coming to ODS not only raised my own personal goals, but it just helped me overall become a better student and a better person, because I was able to look at things from a different perspective.
Students have access to a lot of musical, theatrical programs in ODS. There's dance, there's band, there's orchestra, there's chorus. We're really learning about different parts of music and different parts of just music in general. We're not just learning about how to play one instrument. In dance, they're not teaching just the steps to a dance. They're teaching kind of a dancer as a whole, the athleticism, the emotion behind the dance, the movement of your body. And that's really, it's more than just the dance. It's all of this combined.
As a gifted resource teacher in the high school setting, we have a very multifaceted role and a very fast-paced schedule. I just want to provide a pathway for them to just learn beyond what's being offered in the building as well, not to feel like they are limited by these four walls.
I always tell my kids that my #1 job is to be their advocate and to support them and their parents. And so to me, like that's my top priority is being there for my students. But I know that that also includes planning and coaching with the teachers and building the teachers' capacity, because really time is a limiting factor for all of us. So I do the best that I can with balancing it and making sure that every day I am working for my students.
The mission of the Virginia Beach City Public Schools gifted programs is to challenge students with differentiated interdisciplinary opportunities, to provide a flexible, innovative curriculum which promotes self-efficacy, productivity, creativity, and leadership, and to develop individual talents, special abilities, and a commitment to excellence.
He said that just as no one person...
We are at the African American Male Summit. This is an annual event. It's been going on for a decade now in Virginia Beach City Public Schools. And we're really here to lift up all of our students. We're here to make sure that every child in our city understands that they are valued and that they have opportunities to succeed, and that there are people in this community who love and care for every child in our community.
This summit is commemorating the life and legacy of the late Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. And it allows our student leaders, our young men across our division in grades 6 through 12 to engage in leadership sessions, vision planning, team building, and just learning and living the legacy that Dr. King has left for us.
It's supposed to teach young African American males such as 9, 10-year-olds, the stuff that's going on in our generation right now. It's kind of hope to inspire and to motivate young men to do better in the world.
It's basically bringing African Americans together and learning leadership roles and learning more about Dr. King and his legacy and carrying it on.
It is such a phenomenal event that has taken place for over 13 years. This is my 5th year attending, and it has evolved in such a event that speaks well to the community, it speaks well to the population of the minority, it speaks well to the parents.
The goal is to reach out to young males and have them learn about why we are still here, while we're standing here today, while we aren't slaves anymore, while pretty much everybody here has their freedom.
I chose to take part in the summit as an African American male. I chose to lead by example and show people that it takes leadership to make a difference.
Well, I think it's about building community. I think it's about building a community of adults and learners, working together to understand what are our goals, setting goals for ourselves, making sure that we have the tools necessary to achieve those goals, and making sure that we know that there are adults around us who will help us meet those goals and keep us focused. So being able to have those conversations together, learning from leaders in our community, building relationships, networks, and mentorships, I think all of that is a part of our objective here at the summit.
Virginia Beach City Public Schools recognizes the importance of being active stewards in protecting our environment and promoting sustainability throughout our division. We are committed to energy and environmental conservation and incorporating sustainability goals into our daily instruction and school operations. We aim to expand access to environmental education and sustainable learning environments to our students, staff, and community.
For us as a school division, sustainability is all about balancing social, economic, and environmental outcomes, also known as the triple bottom line. You think about it when you get up every day, from the time you turn on the lights to you brush your teeth, you take a shower, the clothes you wear, the food you eat, the way you get from point A to point B, all of these things impact all 3 legs of that stool. There's a social, an economic, and an environmental consequence to all of our actions. And so we really want students to kind of think about it. If you have students who start to understand that balance between those three items right there, as well as kind of the interconnectedness and interdependencies of everything around, how it's all linked together, then we'll be light years ahead of the thinking out there right now.
I see students making connections to the world, making connections to themselves, broadening their horizons every single day. And it is exciting to wake up in the morning and know that students are going to be thinking about sustainability and working that into their personal ethics and life decisions and making the world a better place. That change is very small for just one person, but when we take a collective community of 68,000 students and they go out into the workforce, that change is real. and we're going to be working through flooding problems in Virginia Beach. We're going to be working through how do we get clean energy to Virginia Beach, and we're going to very, very gradually change the scape of this planet for the better.
Virginia Beach City Public Schools not only include sustainability as part of the curriculum, but supports this initiative through building practices, reducing energy usage, and growing and preparing food.
Helping the environment is good for the future because we can help the newer generations be more healthy and our environment be more healthy. We're setting a standard for how the environment should be treated. And we're trying to set a standard for the rest of the country, I guess, to have better food, better environment around their schools, and to help lessen, I guess, the effects of pollution in our area.
I hope the takeaway for the students is to see the solutions that are possible when we can collaborate, when we can be innovative, and when we can really get to the essence of that sustainability initiative, that it's not just an environmental piece, but there's economic and social implications as well.
One thing that's really cool that we did is the dendrochronology project. We analyzed how the population growth in Virginia Beach over time affected the trees, and we saw that when more people came into the area, the trees grew less because there was more stress. And so I just did this project at Tech about the flooding issues. What I came to find was actually that the more trees we have around here will help reduce the flooding incidents that we have. And I thought it was so interesting, and I would have never thought of that if it didn't come back to what I learned in my AP environmental class in high school.
Students are learning about how we have a lot of environmental issues in this modern day era. We have climate change, rising sea levels, all that stuff, species going extinct. And so it's important to teach students early on how to become sustainable in the environment and the economy so that, we have a good world to live in when we grow up.
Virginia Beach City Public Schools believes that by giving students the educational program, physical space, and organizational culture, we are providing them the opportunity to become environmentally conscious global citizens who are aware of and accountable for the impact they have in creating an environmentally, economically, and equitably sustainable future.